Do you feel this wall? He sits opposite. You hear his breathing, but he is an absolute stranger. You ask questions, trying to grope for a connection, but receive only an echo reflected off his impenetrable armor. Inside grows a quiet panic. You feel that he is hiding something, but do not know how to break through this cold facade. Forget what you were taught. Ordinary psychology advises, ask directly, but Carl Jung knew, a direct question provokes only ego defense. You are trying to interrogate his mask, his social facade, but the mask knows only how to lie for protection. To hear the truth, we need to find a path to his soul. We have keys to these doors. In this video, we will break down 7 algorithm questions. This is not manipulation. These are questions that, like water, seep through the stones of his defense, bypassing the guardians of consciousness. You will understand the true nature of his silence. It is not indifference, it is fear of the shadow. You will learn how to create a space where lies become impossible and gain the intimacy you were afraid to dream of. The truth can burn, but only it is capable of freeing you from this cage of uncertainty. If you are ready to look behind the mask, we begin. Let us stop the run of time for a moment and honestly look at the place where you are right now. This is a space filled with the hollow echo of unspoken words. You know this feeling better than anyone else. This is the agonizing, exhausting phenomenon of loneliness together. Physically, he is present. He sits opposite, drinks coffee. His body occupies the usual place in the space of your kitchen. You can reach out a hand and feel the warmth of his skin. But emotionally, he has descended into a deep, impenetrable bunker, slammed the heavy steel hatch, and turned the valve from the inside. Between you, a thick, cold fog has descended. You try to break through it, ask questions, but your words seem to fall into cotton wool. In response, only monosyllabic phrases, a gaze past you, into the phone screen or out the window, to where you are not. And in this stifling atmosphere of understatement, a tragic transformation happens to you. You, a woman created for love and creation, are forced to turn into a suspicious detective in your own bedroom. You begin to scan reality for threats. You listen to the tonality of his voice, trying to decipher hidden meanings in a simple fine. You analyze the duration of his pauses, like a criminalist analyzes evidence at a crime scene. You watch exactly how he puts the phone on the table, screen up or down. This destroys you from within. It slowly but surely corrodes your sense of self-dignity. You hate this role. You do not want to be a warden or an investigator. But his closedness, this cursed game of hide and seek, leaves you no choice. You feel humiliated by the necessity to track down the truth, to gather crumbs of his sincerity like alms. This feeling that you must hack your own husband just to know who he is today is the heaviest burden you carry in silence. You hurt, and often a caustic sense of guilt mixes with this pain. The inner critic whispers, maybe I am too intrusive. Maybe I am suffocating him. Maybe I am just a hysteric demanding attention. I want you to exhale right now and hear me. You are not guilty. Your desire to know the truth is not pathology and not an attempt at total control. This is an ancient, deep instinct of self-preservation. For the female psyche, clarity in relationships is a synonym for safety. When you knock on a closed door, you are not trying to suppress him. You are simply looking for solid ground under your feet in the shaky swamp of uncertainty. It is normal to want to know with whom you share a life, but it is important to understand the other side of the equation too. We often mistakenly take his silence for coldness or even cruelty. It seems to us that he is silent against us. But from the point of view of depth psychology, this is almost never so. His silence is not an attack. It is a convulsive attempt to preserve himself. It is a conflict between your need for emotional fusion and his male, often painful need for autonomy. He withdraws into himself not to punish you, but so as not to fall apart himself. His silence is not a weapon aimed at your heart. It is a shield behind which hides a frightened boy, afraid to make a mistake, to appear weak or incompetent in your eyes. You are not guilty in your search, but all this time you made one fundamental mistake in navigation. You knocked on the wrong door. You sent your request to the wrong addressee. In everyday life, at dinner or in the car, you try to speak with his persona. This is his social facade, his glossy mask of a good guy, which he puts on to function in society. The persona is created with one goal, to please and avoid conflicts, and that is exactly why it lies. You demand truth from his persona, but the persona is a diplomat trained to lie for the sake of preserving a fragile peace. It will tell you, everything is fine, just so you smile, even if inside him there is a fire. Truth lives elsewhere. It is banished to the dark, locked basement of his psyche, which Carl Jung called the shadow. There in this darkness are hidden his real fears, his burning shame, his suppressed desires, and that vulnerability which he considers weakness. The shadow is not polite, but only it is real. Your tragedy is that you try to interrogate the mask, but the mask is empty. To know the truth, we must radically change tactics. We must stop knocking on the front door and find a way to go down. We must invite his shadow to our campfire. I will hand you these 7 questions, but right now I ask you to stop. There exists a huge temptation to skip the theory and go straight to actions. Grab this list and arrange a new interrogation for him this very evening. Do not do this. These questions are not magic spells that work by themselves. They are precise surgical instruments. And, like any scalpel, in unskilled hands they can cause harm, not heal. If your inner mindset remains the same, the mindset of a hunter driving prey, even the deepest words will sound false. He will sense a trick, and his defense will become even stronger. Before I give you keys, you must understand exactly how this complex lock is arranged. Otherwise, you will simply break the key in the keyhole, and the door will jam finally. We must disassemble the anatomy of his silence to understand how to bypass his guards and not storm them. Without this understanding, these 7 questions will become for him only a new, more sophisticated form of torture, which he will again ignore. Let's be extremely honest and look at how your attempt to talk usually looks. Most often it resembles not an intimate dialogue of 2 loving people, but a court session where you act in the role of a brilliant but ruthless prosecutor. You prepare, you gather facts, you build a flawless, logical chain. You promised to be at 7, came at 9. You said you loved, but forgot about the anniversary. Here is a screenshot. Here is the date. Here is your promise. You make the classic mistake of logical assault. It seems to you that if you pin him to the wall with irrefutable evidence, he will have no choice but to surrender, burst into tears, and tell the truth. You think you will defeat him with logic. But in relationships, logic is not a tool of persuasion. It is a declaration of war. As soon as you approach him with this metaphorical or real folder of evidence, a red alarm lamp lights up in his brain. Attack. He stops seeing in you a beloved woman, a partner, a friend. He sees in you a prosecutor whose goal is to accuse and punish. And his only goal at this moment is not to open up, not to become closer, but not to give testimony. He goes into deep defense. He either closes up in icy silence or begins to counterattack, clinging to your words to confuse you. And here comes into play the most destructive myth that millions of women believe in. If he truly loved me, he would tell everything himself. You think that his lie or silence is a measure of his love for you. This is a lie. In a moment of conflict, in a moment when his ego feels a threat, fear is always stronger than love. This is biology. Fear of being rejected, fear of turning out to be bad, fear of losing face are ancient instincts of survival. Therefore, your standard questions, where were you? Why are you silent? Tell me the truth. Do not work. These are not questions. These are hammer blows on the closed door of a bunker. And the louder you knock, the thicker become the walls he erects. You seek truth, but use methods of war, and in war, as is known, truth dies first. To understand how to change this dynamic, we need a new map of the terrain. Imagine the psyche of your man not as a closed room, but as a medieval castle. Somewhere there, in the very depth, in the central tower, is kept his true essence, his vulnerability, his tender feelings, his real dreams. But this castle is surrounded by high walls, and around the walls a deep, wide moat is dug, filled with muddy water. His lies, his understatement, his evasive answers are this moat. What do you do when you turn on the prosecutor mode? You jump into this muddy water. You try to swim across the moat, fighting the crocodiles of his defensive reactions. You spend colossal strength trying to break through walls with your forehead or climb over them with the help of logical ladders. But it is useless. The architecture of the castle is such that it is impregnable from the outside. The only way to get inside is to make it so that the master of the castle himself, by his own will, lowers the drawbridge. You must understand a fundamental thing. This castle was built not to keep out you personally. It was built over decades, stone by stone, starting from the time when he was a little boy. The root of his lie is not maliciousness and not a desire to cause you pain. It is an ancient, childish fear of rejection. Once, very long ago, he learned a cruel lesson. If they find out what I am really like, they will stop loving me. Perhaps he was told that good boys do not get angry, or that men do not cry, or that his desires are wrong. At that moment, his psyche split. To survive and preserve the love of parents, and now yours, he learned to hide his true, inconvenient part in the dungeon and put a guard on the walls. Lying for a man is a form of adaptation. It is a learned mechanism of survival. When he lies to you about his feelings or plans, it is not an attack on you. It is a panic reaction of his inner child who is sure. Truth is mortally dangerous. You storm the walls, not understanding that the garrison inside is dying of fear. His lie is not a weapon of attack. It is a barricade which he erected because he is sure. If you see the real him, you will be horrified and leave. And as long as he believes in this, the bridge will never lower. Stop. Wait a minute. Before we go further, I want to sharply turn the spotlight. We talked a lot about him, about his walls, his castle, his fears. But now I want to talk about you. You say you want truth. You demand it. You lose sleep trying to find it. But allow me to ask you a question that may seem uncomfortable, even cruel. What truth are you most afraid of? We often deceive ourselves thinking that truth is a warm blanket that will calm us. It is not so. Truth is icy water. Truth is fire burning the decorations. If he right now lowers this bridge and tells you what he really thinks, are you sure you are ready to hear it? What if the truth lies in the fact that he is bored? What if he feels that your care suffocates him? What if he doubts your future together? You pray for truth, but if he tells you that his feelings have cooled, or that he is weak and confused, will you withstand this blow without falling apart? Or deep down, do you simply want him to tell you a better quality lie? A lie that sounds like I love you and everything is fine with us? Here is the bitterest pill that needs to be swallowed. Often men lie not because they are pathological liars, but because we taught them this. Without words, with only your anxiety, tension in your voice, imploring look, you broadcast a signal to him. Please do not tell me anything bad. I will not cope. Preserve my illusion. He reads this signal instantly, and he lies to protect you from your own reaction. I want you right now to put this video on pause. Seriously, press pause, and honestly answer yourself one question. Am I looking for reality, or am I looking for a sedative? If he shows you his shadow, unsightly, selfish, frightened, will you stay or run away? Because if you are looking only for confirmations of your ideal picture, these 7 questions will destroy your world. But if you are ready to meet a real person and not a prince from a fairy tale, then press play. If you are still here, it means you chose reality. You are ready to go further. And now, to understand the mechanics of the upcoming conversation, we need to turn to the foundation of analytical psychology of Carl Jung. We often think that a man hides his feelings because he wants to hide them. But Jung opens to us a much deeper and tragic perspective. Often a man does not tell the truth about his feelings simply because he himself does not know it. Jung introduced the concept of anima. This is an archetypal image of a woman that lives in the unconscious of every man. Anima is not just the female part of his soul, it is a bridge. It is the only conductor connecting his cold, logical mind, logos, with the world of deep emotions, intuition, and life itself, eros. Anima is the keeper of keys to his heart, The problem of the modern man is that his upbringing, society, the whole culture of the successful achiever force him to suppress the anima. He is told, be hard, be logical, do not be a girl, and he cuts off this connection. He concretes over this well. As a result, we get a phenomenon that can be called emotional illiteracy. When you ask him, what do you feel towards us? He falls into a stupor, not because he is a villain, but because you ask him to read a text in a language he forgot long ago. Inside him is a silent film. He sees images, feels anxiety or heaviness, but he has no words to name it. And here lies his born. When he cannot find an answer inside, his logical mind begins to construct an answer outside. He does not lie in the direct sense of the word. He composes an acceptable version of reality to fill the void and calm you. He says what, as it seems to him, should sound logical. Therefore, those 7 questions we are moving to are not instruments of interrogation. They are instruments of restoration. We will not try to pull facts out of him with pliers. We will use these questions as spells to restore his connection with his own anima. We will help him grope for this bridge. Your role changes. You are no longer an investigator demanding testimony. You become a guide. He is silent not because he keeps a terrible secret, but because he lost the dictionary of his own feelings. And with the help of these questions, you will become the one who returns this language to him. Now that we understand the theory and see the map of his soul, it is time to take the tools in hand. But before I pronounce the first question, you must hear the main warning. These questions cannot be asked on the run. They cannot be thrown over the shoulder while you wash dishes, or shouted in a traffic jam, or written in a messenger. Alchemy is the art of transformation, and for any transformation, a hermetic vessel is needed. Jung called this temenos, a sacred protected space. You must create a ritual, turn off phones, remove excess noise, create silence that does not press but invites. Sit so that your eyes are on the same level. You must create an atmosphere in which time stops. Only in such a temenos will his psyche feel safe enough to take off armor. So we begin. Question number 1. Key to the shadow. Ask him, looking straight into the eyes but with maximum softness. What is there in you that, as you fear, I might judge you for? Why does this work? Usually we ask, what are you hiding? This sounds like an accusation, and the shadow instantly hides deeper. This same question is a genius move. It does not require facts. It addresses emotion, fear, and shame. You let him know in advance. I know you are not perfect. I know you have a dark side, and I am not running away from it. I am ready to look at it. This question disarms because it does not require excuses. It invites to share the burden of imperfection. You legalize his right to be bad in your eyes, and exactly this paradoxically forces him to want to be honest. Question number 2. Key to the inner child. This question can be painful for you, but it is necessary. Ask, tell me honestly, in what moments do you feel most lonely next to me? Listen to the wording. We do not ask, why did you distance yourself? This is a reproach. We ask about his experience. Men are trained to wear a mask of self-sufficiency. To admit loneliness for a man means to admit weakness. But when you ask this question, you validate his feelings. You say, I see that you feel cold even next to me. This hacks the defense of his inner child who sits in the bunker. Instead of defending against you, he, for the first time, gets an opportunity to complain to you about his pain. And at this moment, he stops seeing an enemy in you. Question number 3, key to values. This question is aimed at bypassing his social persona and getting to his true desires. If you could live life over, what would you change right now without hesitating? Why is this needed? A man often lies or is silent because he lives by someone else's script, work, mortgage, obligations. He suppresses his true dreams, considering them stupid or impossible. This question gives him permission for fantasy. It is safe because it is hypothetical, if. But the answer to it will give you a map of his soul. He might say, I would not become a lawyer, or I would live by the sea. In this answer, there is no lie because the persona turns off when we speak about the unfulfilled. And exactly here, you will see his real values and those regrets that poison his life and force him to close up in himself. We descend deeper. If the first 3 questions concerned his past and his inner child, then the next 4 are aimed at the most difficult territory, at the dynamics of your relationships and his existential essence. Here tension will grow, but exactly here are hidden the biggest treasures. Question number 4. Key to projection. This is perhaps the boldest question a woman can ask a man. It requires huge strength of spirit from you because you return responsibility to yourself to take armor off him. Ask, what do I do that makes you feel not good enough? Feel the difference. Usually when a man closes up or snaps, we ask, why do you react like that? Or, what is wrong with you? This is an attack, but question number 4 is a total capitulation in a good sense. You address the main male wound, the fear of being incompetent. Men often project this fear onto women. It seems to them that your look, your sigh, your criticism confirm that they are losers. By asking this question, you say, I do not want to be a mirror of your failures. Tell me, where do I step on your sore spot? This instantly turns you from a judge into an ally. He stops defending because he sees that you are ready to change your behavior for the sake of his comfort. And in response, he, most likely, will tell you the truth about how much he needs your approval. Question number 5. Key to anima, feelings. As we already said, many men have an atrophied emotional dictionary. This question helps to restore it. Ask, which emotion is hardest for you to express to me? Note, we do not ask, what do you feel? This is too abstract. We ask about difficulty. We legalize in advance the fact that expressing feelings is hard. This removes shame. He might answer, it is hard for me to show fear, or it is hard for me to show how much I'm attached to you. This question works like a sluice. You give permission for the existence of forbidden emotions. You inform his subconscious. Here it is safe to be weak. Here it is safe to be sad. And often after this question, the dam breaks. Question number 6. Key to fear of the future, male indifference to plans, his reluctance to talk about wedding, children or moving, often masks paralyzing horror. Ask directly, what are you afraid of in our future? Not what do you want, but what are you afraid of? The question, what do you want, imposes obligations. The question about fear liberates. Perhaps he is afraid that he will not pull it financially, or afraid that everyday life will kill passion, or afraid to become as unhappy as his father. While this fear is not named, it rules him from the shadow, forcing him to break and sabotage relationships. As soon as fear is voiced, it loses its demonic power. Having pulled this fear into the light, you will be able to discuss it as a real problem and not beat your head against the wall of his, I don't know. Question number 7. Key to meaning, self. And finally, the last, deepest, almost mystical question. It is aimed past the persona, past the roles of husband, father, breadwinner. It is aimed into the core of his being. In a moment of silence and intimacy, ask, who are you when no one is looking? This question tears off all masks. In society, he is a set of functions. He must be strong, successful, competent. But who is he alone with himself? What does he think about before sleep? What is he silent about, looking at the stars? This question invites his self to come out on stage. This is the moment of truth. The answer can be unexpected. I am a tired traveler. I am a dreamer. I am a little boy who got lost. The 7th question is a look into the mirror of the soul, where there are no spectators, no grades. There is only pure essence. And if he answers you this question, no, between you there are no more walls. You met for real. Perhaps now you think, this sounds beautiful in theory, but will it work with my husband? He is a flint after all. Allow me to tell you the story of Anna and James. They were married 10 years. From the outside, an ideal couple. But inside their home reigned a cold war. James came from work late, dined silently, buried in the phone, and went to bed, turning to the wall. Anna played the role of detective for years. Every evening began with an interrogation. Where were you? Why didn't you call? What are you thinking about? James answered monosyllabically. At work, forgot, about nothing. It was a dead end. Anna felt she was dying of loneliness next to a living person. One evening, after watching similar material, Anna decided to take a risk. She did not set the table, did not turn on the TV. She simply sat opposite James when he came, and instead of the usual reproach, "You are late again?" looked into his eyes. A heavy, ringing silence hung in the room. James tensed, expecting an attack. His shoulders rose. He prepared to defend. But Anna took a deep breath and quietly, almost in a whisper, asked, "Question number 2. James, tell me honestly, when do you feel most lonely next to me?" James froze. He opened his mouth to issue the usual, "Don't talk nonsense." But the words got stuck in his throat. The question was so unexpected, so devoid of accusation and full of pain, that his automatic defense failed. He looked at Anna, not at the nagging wife, but at a woman who also suffers. A minute passed, a second. Anna did not rush him, although her heart pounded like mad, and suddenly James's face, always so stony and collected, began to change. His lips trembled. He lowered his eyes to his hands. "When you ask me about money," he finally pronounced in a hoarse, strange voice, "when you look at me with the expectation that I will solve everything. In these moments I feel not like a husband, but like an ATM that is about to break. I feel that if I fall, you will not pick me up but will be disappointed." And here happened what Anna had not seen since their wedding. A tear rolled down James's cheek. One stingy male tear, behind which hid years of suppressed fear of not meeting expectations. For the first time in 10 years, the silence between them was not empty, but filled with meaning. The dam collapsed. That evening, they did not solve all their problems. They did not become an ideal couple from a yogurt commercial, but they spoke for real for the first time. James told about his fear of bankruptcy, about which he had been silent for 3 years. Anna told about her feeling of uselessness. It was painful, it was scary, but it was real, and in this reality they finally met. The story of James and Anna is not just a beautiful illustration, it is a mirror into which you are looking right now. And while you digest this scene, while you feel echoes of their pain and their liberation, I want to pause and turn the camera 180 degrees. We spent a lot of time discussing his fears, his shadow, his defense. We armed you with 7 powerful keys capable of opening his lock. But in psychology, as in physics, an immutable law acts. Every action gives birth to a reaction. Dialogue is a street with two-way traffic. You cannot invite someone into a space of absolute honesty while remaining in a safe shelter yourself. You cannot demand from him to take off armor if you yourself stand before him encased in the armor of your righteousness. Therefore, now I want to ask you a question that requires from you the same courage that you expect from him. Look again at this list of 7 questions. Read them carefully and ask yourself, which of these 7 questions scares you yourself the most? Do not rush. Listen to your body. On which point did your stomach clench? On which question did you want to look away? Maybe it is question number 4. What do I do that makes you feel not good enough? Why does it scare? Because asking it, you voluntarily step down from the pedestal of the ideal wife or victim of circumstances. You admit that you too can cause pain. You open up for criticism and it is scary. Or maybe question number 6 paralyzes you. What are you afraid of in our future? Does it scare you because deep down you know the answer? Because you yourself are afraid of the same thing? But you have a tacit pact of silence concluded, and to break it means to make the threat real? Or maybe it is question number 7. Who are you when no one is looking? Are you afraid to find out that the person with whom you share a bed actually dreams of a life in which there is no place for your current way of life? Understand one important thing. Courage to ask a question is only half the way. Courage to answer it to yourself. That is where real transformation begins. If you feel fear before a certain question, it does not mean that it should not be asked. On the contrary, it is a marker. It is a red arrow on the map of your soul, indicating, dig here. Your fear is an indicator of where exactly in your relationship's energy is blocked. Exactly where it is scariest lies the potential for the most powerful breakthrough. We are here not just spectators, We are a community of seekers, and I want to invite you to honesty right now. Go down to the comments. Do not write long stories if you do not want to. Simply write the number of the question. Write, number 4 scares me, or I am afraid to ask number 2. Do it. Why? Because when you see hundreds of other comments, when you see that you are not alone in this fear, it will lose power over you. You will see that millions of women stand before the same abyss. And this feeling of unity will give you strength to take the first step in real life. Write your number, acknowledge your fear, and let's see what we will do with this truth next. You did it, you asked the question, and perhaps the answer you received did not bring you relief. Perhaps it brought you pain. Let's not be naive. We often romanticize truth, imagining it as light that instantly disperses darkness and brings joy. But in reality, truth often comes as a blow to the gut. It can be prickly, uncomfortable, even insulting to your ego. He might say that he is tired of your custody. He might admit that his attraction has faded. He might voice doubts that will make the ground go from under your feet. And at this moment, your first instinct will be a desire to cancel everything. Plug ears, run away, scream, "Shut up!" Return everything as it was. It will seem to you that everything is collapsing. But I am here to tell you, what you feel is not the end. It is a necessary, inevitable beginning. Carl Jung, studying ancient alchemical treatises, discovered that the process of transformation of lead into gold always begins with a stage which alchemists called nigredo blackening. This is the stage of decay, rotting, decomposition. Before matter can transform into a higher form, its old form must die and turn black. Your relationships are now passing the nigredo stage. What is collapsing and causing you pain is not your love. It is your illusions collapsing. It is the decorations of the ideal family burning, which you built for years to hide the truth from yourselves. Is it painful? Undoubtedly. Fire always burns. But without this fire, without this blackening of old forms, the birth of a new living union is impossible. For gold to appear, matter must turn black. Your pain from his truth is the fire in which your illusions burn. Therefore, when you hear unpleasant truth, do not perceive it as a messenger of the apocalypse. Rethink it. Look at it as a teacher. If he tells you about his pain or dissatisfaction, it means he is alive. It means he trusts you enough to show his blackness. Before, this blackness was locked inside him, poisoning him and invisibly killing your connection. Now it has come out. Yes, it lies between you, and it is ugly. But now one can work with it. You must make a fundamental choice, worthy of a Stoic philosopher. What do you choose? A sweet, sticky lie that lulls you into a comfortable coma while relationships die of necrosis? Or a bitter, sharp truth that causes pain but cleanses the wound and launches the process of real healing? Remember, pain from truth is pain of growth. Pain from lies is pain of dying. Choose growth, even if now it seems to you that you're standing on ashes. It is from ashes that the phoenix rises. We approach the most dangerous moment of the whole process. This is that critical point where 90% of attempts to restore intimacy break. Imagine, he answered, he told you the truth. And this truth turned out to be hot, uncomfortable, or even unfair. In this moment inside you, an ancient reflex triggers. Your ego, wounded by his words, wants to defend immediately. You feel a lump of resentment rising to the throat and words of accusation spinning on the tongue. How can you think like that? After everything I did for you. You are wrong. Stop. Breathe. If you succumb to this impulse now, if you explode with anger or crumble into tears of accusation, you lost. You will confirm with your own hands his worst nightmare. Truth is unsafe. If I open up, I get hit. If you punish him for honesty with your emotional reaction, he will learn the lesson instantly. Next time one needs to lie, and the door will slam, possibly forever. Here you will need a skill which in depth psychology is called containing. Imagine yourself as a chalice, a sacred vessel. His emotions, his fears, his confused thoughts are boiling liquid, acid, or lava. He pours this into you because he himself cannot hold it. The task of the chalice is to accept this liquid and hold its form, not cracking from heat and not splashing the contents back onto the one who poured it. To be a container does not mean to tolerate humiliation. It means to possess internal capacity sufficient to withstand the chaos of another person without collapsing. How to do this technically? The observing ego technique will help you. At the moment when he says unpleasant things to you, mentally take a step back. Step out of the epicenter of your anger. Imagine that you are sitting in a cinema and looking at yourself from the side. Say to yourself, I see that resentment is rising in me. I feel my heart pounding. I hurt. But I am not my resentment. I am bigger than this emotion. Do not merge with your reaction. Watch it like a cloud floating across the sky, but remain the sky. Your task at this moment is to listen. Simply listen. Do not argue. Do not make excuses. Do not teach life. Simply be present. Nod. Breathe. Hold the space. This requires colossal spiritual discipline. It is much easier to scream. But exactly the ability to be a container is the highest form of female power. A man by his nature is often full of chaos and internal struggle. He unconsciously looks for a woman who possesses sufficient psychic gravity to order this chaos. He looks for one who will not fall apart from his darkness. When he sees that you stand firmly, that you hear his scariest truth and do not run away, do not attack, do not die, a miracle happens. He begins to feel absolute safety. He understands. She can withstand this. She is stronger than my demons. Your ability not to splash his truth, even if it boils, is what makes you his only refuge. And exactly in this refuge, love is born, which is impossible to destroy by domestic storms. So you held yourself in hand. You became a container. You listened to his truth without interrupting and without rolling eyes. Now comes the moment when you need to answer something. And exactly here, the majority of women make a fatal mistake, crossing out all previous efforts. Your brain, driven by anxiety, begins to feverishly look for a solution. You want to say, well, it is not so scary, do not worry, or you just need to rest, or what is even worse, and I told you so. Stop. Right now, I introduce a strict ban. In this dialogue, in this sacred space, 3 things are forbidden. Advice, you need to do this. Evaluations, this is stupid, this is wrong. Consolations, everything will be fine. Why? Because when a man opens his vulnerability to you and you begin to give advice, you instantly turn from a beloved woman into mommy. You become on top. You broadcast to him, you are little and stupid. You are not coping. Let me fix your life. This castrates his masculinity and makes him regret that he opened up. He does not need a consultant. He needs a witness. What to do then? Use a technique which in psychology is called mirror. Your task is not to interpret his words, not to argue with them, and not to correct them. Your task is to return them to him, cleansed of your emotions. You must become a clean mirror in which he can see himself. The algorithm is simple, but requires iron discipline. Use the formula. I hear that you, return of his feeling or meaning. Let's break down with examples. Example 1. He says, I feel that I am suffocating. You constantly control my every step. I have nothing to breathe with. Your old reaction, defense. I do not control. I simply care about you, and you are ungrateful. Result, scandal. Reaction mirror. Make a pause. Look into his eyes, say calmly, I hear that you feel strong pressure. It seems to you that my care deprives you of freedom, and it is hard for you from this. Example 2. He says, I do not know what I want. It seems to me I'm going nowhere. Your old reaction, advice. You just need to change jobs or go to courses. Result, he feels like a loser. Reaction mirror. Sounds as if you lost your inner compass and now feel confusion and emptiness. Feel the difference? You did not agree that you are a tyrant. You did not say that he is right. You did something more important. You validated his experience. You said, I see your pain. It is real for you, and I accept it. When a man hears his words returned to him with respect and without distortions, magic happens. His shoulders drop. His breathing evens out. He no longer needs to scream or defend to be understood. He understands. She heard me. This exercise requires practice. The tongue will itch to give advice or make excuses. Bite it. Your goal now is not to win an argument, but to create a connection. Do not fix him. He is not a broken toaster. Simply show him himself in the mirror of your understanding, and this mirror will become the first step to his healing. Look at yourself now. Do you feel how the energy changed? At the beginning of this video, we talked about a woman who stands on her knees before a closed door, begging for crumbs of attention. About a woman detective, exhausted by suspicions. Forget this image. It no longer has relation to you. Right now, you return your crown to yourself. You are no longer a victim of his silence. You are no longer a hostage of his mood. You are the initiator of truth. You are the one who holds keys to all doors and hands. Realize this power. You stopped waiting for him to deign to talk. You take responsibility for the quality of your life into your hands. You approach this castle not as a petitioner, but as a mistress who has full right to know what happens in her domains. I know, somewhere deep in the soul, fear still trembles. And what if the truth turns out to be unbearable? What if these questions lead to the end of relationships? I will answer you as a warrior of light. Let it be so. If truth destroys your relationships, it means these relationships were built on sand, and they would collapse anyway, only later, burying you under the rubble of spent years. Do not fear destruction of illusions. Fear life in a beautiful but stuffy crypt of lies. Even if the answer to your questions becomes separation, this is not defeat. This is the greatest victory. This is a victory of reality over fantasy. This is a victory of your dignity over fear of loneliness. Better to proudly walk alone on solid ground of truth than to eternally crawl through a swamp of understatement, holding hands with a ghost. Truth makes you invulnerable. A person who knows the truth and is ready to accept it cannot be humiliated, cannot be deceived, cannot be used. As soon as you agree to see things as they are, you become the creator of your destiny. You stop being a character in his script and become the author of your own. Straighten your back, breathe with full chest. You are armed with knowledge, you are protected by wisdom, and you have a map. One who does not fear truth cannot be defeated. You are no longer a petitioner, you are the owner of your destiny, and with this power, you are invincible. We walked a long path. We started it in a cramped, stuffy room of suspicions where you felt like a detective gathering evidence. We passed through dark basements of the shadow, through cold moats of defense, through fire of painful truth, and now we stand on the peak. Look back. Look at these 7 questions which now lie in your arsenal. Now you understand that their true goal never consisted in simply knowing where he was or why he did not call. That would be too shallow for you. These questions are not a way to extract information, they are a way to extract the soul. We often confuse facts and truth. Facts are what time he came and how much money he spent. This is dead statistics. Truth is what happens in his heart when he looks at you. Truth is what hurts in him when he is silent. 7 questions that we broke down are alchemical formulas. They transform lead of alienation into gold of intimacy. You no longer ask, "Why do you lie to me?" You say, "Show me who you are, because I am strong enough to accept you whole." Truth is not a weapon with which one can wound, and it is not a shield with which one can cover oneself. Truth is the only possible form of connection between 2 adult people. Everything else is merely a theater of shadows. And today you decided to leave the auditorium and go out onto the real stage. I want you to close your eyes for a moment. Allow me to show you what we did all this for. Imagine relationships in which there is no more fear. Imagine a house in which there are no locked rooms, no bunkers, no moats with crocodiles. Imagine that you sit opposite him, and between you is crystal clear air. You do not need to guess what he thinks, he says it. He does not need to fear that you will judge his shadow. He knows that you saw it and accepted it. Is it scary? Oh yes, it is dizzyingly scary. To live without masks means to stand naked souls before each other, without skin, feeling every breath of wind. But Carl Jung called this state mysterium coniunctionis, mystery of reunion, or sacred marriage. This is a meeting not of two personas, not of two good spouses playing their roles. This is a meeting of two selves. This is love that passed through fire of Nigredo, through decay of illusions, and hardened in truth. In this future, conflicts will not disappear, but they will stop being destructive. They will become bridges. In this future, his silence will not be a wall, but simply silence in which you both rest. In this future, you are no longer two halves trying to fill each other's void. You are two whole universes that decided to rotate in one orbit. This is that intimacy about which you dreamed when you were a little girl, and which you deserve now as a wise woman. I know that now, holding these keys in hands, you might feel trembling. The task seems huge. Fear before the first question can fetter the throat. It might seem to you that you stand before this mountain in complete solitude, but it is not so. Feel this right now. In this very second, while my voice sounds, millions of women around the world look into screens of their phones and feel the same thing as you. Millions of hearts beat in unison with yours, wishing to break through the wall of silence. Millions of souls look for a way out of the labyrinth of loneliness together. You are part of a huge invisible sisterhood of seekers of truth. Your pain is universal pain. Your hope is our common hope. You are not alone in this search. And every time one of you finds courage in herself to ask an honest question and withstand an honest answer, the world becomes a little brighter. You do this work not only for yourself, you heal the collective unconscious of all relationships. Our journey comes to an end, but your work only begins. You have a choice. You can close this video and return to the usual, safe, but stuffy world of illusions. You can continue to play detective and victim. It is easy. It does not require efforts. Or you can make a step into the unknown. If you feel that you are ready not just to listen, but to change the fabric of your reality. If you want to explore depths where others fear even to look. If you want to understand psychology not as a set of dry terms, but as living magic of transformation, stay with us. This channel is not for everyone. We do not give simple advice on how to keep a man. We are engaged here in architecture of the soul. Subscribe right now. Do this not just as a click of a mouse, but as an act of conscious choice. Click on the bell. Let its ring become for you a signal of awakening, a reminder that you no longer sleep. In comments write, "I choose truth." Let this become your first manifesto. Go to him, create your tomatoes. Ask the question, and fear nothing. Remember, when masks fall, only what is real remains. And this is the only thing on which one can build eternity. Own the truth, and you will own your destiny.